Welcome to Depths of Gaming, episode 46. That is the number 4 and 6 smushed together to form some kind of strange and cruel combination that we recognize as a number. And it is an injustice in our society.
Hello!
I am Necker Scourge.
And I'm Voice. Hello!
He is a voice.
Yes. I will be your Russian accent for today.
Indeed. So we have a Kersmidgeon of sci-fi sound effects, and
from what I can see, we have plenty of stories, much more than usual.
yes,
That usually indicates that the week in gaming was very active.
Indeed. So Hunt the Showdown has gone into closed testing through the weekend, and a very curious game. It started as one of those asymmetric PvP games, but now it's a four teams of 2 players dropped in this Louisiana-esque swamp in a rather big map, and you're hunting a creature. And right now, the creature that you're hunting is a spider, but I think they're going to add different kinds of creatures to hunt.
So basically, imagine if Supernatural had a baby with Red Dead Redemption. So you have zombies, you have plagues, you have
mosquitoes the size of buses.
You have also rifles that can store up to 16 bullets.
Yeah, and their magical lever rifles.
Yeah, I imagine those reloading animation videos from YouTube where people do like those animations and try to make them funny. And there's one where a guy puts in a like 2-meter or 3-meter long clip into his handgun, and that's basically how it looks when you try to reload that rifle. Bullet goes in and disappears. Bullet goes in and disappears. Bullet goes in and disappears.
Indeed. So the big draw of this game is there's a bunch of monsters running around, and all of the teams are trying to find the bounty first, and they're looking for clues, which narrows down where in the game world the spider is. And once you kill the spider, you need to banish it, and that takes 5 minutes. And at the end of that, the bounties appear, and so you gather the spiritual MacGuffins, and then you leave the map. And that's the main way you get a bunch of experience points. And the shotguns look really, really effective, since we just watched the Ohmwrecker gameplay video and blew apart his buddy.
Ooh.
Yeah, hold on, let me get that zombie chasing you.
Yeah, that cooperative aspect of the game is actually quite fun. I'm enjoying some of the videos on YouTube with people playing the game and being like on Discord with each other, warning about like, oh, watch out, someone's behind you, turn around, or oh, look, it's a zombie. No, that zombie has metal on its head, so you can't really headshot it.
Yeah, because the weapons in this game are purposefully hard to use. They're period weapons. And it always pisses me off when with these Western games where these revolvers are uber accurate when they're really not. is your hand gets very unsteady when you're doing the crazy footwork that you do in FPS games. It becomes very hard to line up a shot. And the issue is frame rate's kind of a problem right now, so it's kind of hard to line up your shots as it is.
Mhm.
Other than that, I'm very excited for this game. I think it's what we have to look forward to, because with these battle royale games coming out left and right, we've learned from previous fads that we can't just remake that game, because people don't want that. They already have a game they can play for that.
Yeah, basically, I remember that Minecraft started the entire craze for survival, procedurally generated games.
Yeah.
And then they became all the rage, and everybody wanted a piece of it. And no one could actually repeat the success.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult. A lot of people tried, but no one did it.
In fact, a fun fact: there are two games that have one game has 170 million copies sold. That's Tetris. Another is 140 million copies sold. That's Minecraft, and the next game is only 80 million copies. So there's like 100 or a 90 million copy chasm between the games that sell the most, the trendsetters, the most popular ones, and the rest, basically.
Right. Because even now, Tetris games are very popular. People still make a bunch of them. They're
Yeah, Tetris is very easy to program, and it's very addictive gameplay, because it actually has a very interesting method of difficulty curve. The better you do, the faster the game gets, which makes it more difficult. So it always stays at this edge level of being the most interesting to you. It's never too difficult so that you constantly fail, and it's never too easy so you are bored.
So, speaking of boredom, Square Enix has declared that they are not embracing loot boxes. The CEO corrected the record.
And I completely and utterly believe them.
Do you?
I have absolutely no suspicions about what they said whatsoever.
None at all?
None at all. And no, you do not hear sarcasm in my voice.
Good, because it just kind of sounds like you're talking normally.
I see.
Yeah. So, the thing here, they said a few times they want to get into games as services. That's the big craze for them. And for the most part, I don't think it's worked at all. And people are panicking now because ADOS said that they want to focus on games as services as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Square Enix CEO came out and said, that does not mean loot boxes. It simply does not. There are other companies that do loot boxes. We don't think they're doing it right, and we're not going to do it. We're looking at other things. And another thing he said is that games as services, that is very, very wide definition, and I support what he's saying, because he's effectively saying people have a very narrow perspective of what these internet buzzwords mean. it is shocking how narrow perspective it is.
The narrowness of the perspectives comes from the fact that when you say the idea to a CEO, he has a completely different thought in his mind than you do. Because when you tell a CEO of a big corporation, hey, we can create a free-to-play game that people can freely get, but we can implant a store there that if they want to improve their experience, then they can buy stuff from it, and that's how we're going to get our revenue. And the CEO thinks, oh, so every bit of the game will be in the store. So if they want to have any enjoyment, they will have to go to the store.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically what the CEO thinks. Because CEO wants to get every single penny out of your wallet. And
every single one.
Lo and behold, it
even works. The ones
you
don't have.
At least according to EA. I believe they increased their profit margins that come from games as services by like 40%.
Well, we're not talking about EA. We're talking about Square Enix. Square Enix.
Well, yeah, but we are also talking about games as services, right? And that's also important.
Because with games as services, they want to make single-player games that they keep adding on to and keep you hooked forever. I think that's complete bullshit. There are only a few games that have managed to do that, and it was through modding. It was through a very deep community scene that had nothing to do with the company itself. Fallout, the Bethesda Fallout games are the shining example of games that are very beloved. I mean, all of the Morrowind games of late, really, but
all of the Elder Scrolls series, yeah,
and
except maybe for Elder Scrolls Online.
And it's funny because the Far Cry games were desperately trying to do that. I remember with, I believe it was 4 that was in India. Whichever one was in India, they were pushing time and time again. Oh, create your adventure in the game, and I don't know. It was. That was a games as service endeavor, and it was very artificial.
For me, games as service means that I buy a game, and in order to play that game, I have to be online, and I'm constantly being badgered to give the company that I bought that game from more and more money. That's games as service to me. And that's what are games as services for every single CEO out there.
Have you polled every single CEO? Like each one, do you talk
I
to
know
them?
the effects.
Can you make them cancel the next Call of Duty game?
As I said, I see the effects.
Bring
That's
it
basically
up.
Yes, SimCity, the latest one.
What about SimCity?
Always online, constantly badgering you for giving them more money, and fully locked down behind always online DRM.
Well, that's just something that they learned and never let go of because they refused to become part of the fucking Steam platform. They always wanted to. Maxis always wanted to stay off of it.
That SimCity came out of after Maxis was dead? After EA killed it?
That's right. Maxis has been dead for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What happened to Will Wright?
I think he still exists in developer limbo.
Yeah, kind of like Peter Molyneux.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is still making games. It's just they're not good ones.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what's his latest endeavor.
Who, Molyneux?
No,
Because
Will
we
Wright.
know what Molyneux's making. It's a hiking simulator.
From what I can see, Will Wright didn't do anything new after 2005.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
You might have gave up after. So moving on. Gigantic has a shutdown date.
Oh yeah, that was this game that
They pulled the plug on
someone
Gigantic.
tried to keep above the water with all with all their strength.
Yeah, an ex StarCraft dev was trying really hard to keep this game afloat. And so the focus was on mobility and capture points, and it suffered. It suffered very heavily from just all of these we've seen them before characters that weren't very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have all these bright, vibrant characters, they don't talk much, they don't interact with each other much, and it didn't have all of that Blizzard quality that you would expect. Because
I like the stylistic choices of the game, but aside from that,
yeah, it was a pretty.
What is it that
game.
it was doing new?
Almost nothing. There are capture points, and at the latter half of the game, the map shrinks, and you're trying to destroy the enemy base, and you can only do it at certain points of the game. It was very generic. I gave up on it pretty quickly. So you can
that's a problem with generic games, because on one hand side they are a safe bet, and on the other side they are boring.
Yeah, because this isn't a surprise. The company had massive layoffs in November, I read, and Runic Games shut down recently, and they did Torchlight. Yeah, huge companies churning out a game every year. It's not a real business model. It's not. You can't just be a machine that pops out generic games, because...
And the worst part is the fact that that entire business model of pumping more and more money into a single game is proving itself too unstable to sustain.
Yeah,
and
it's just not stable.
Yeah, and that's the only thing the big corporations actually know how to do. They are incapable of creating like hundreds of small teams that have tenth of a budget, but actually have enough time to make a good game. Instead, they're pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into one game, give them 2 years of development time, and expect it to make hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars more. Simply because they made an investment. And that's where all the big corporations are failing right now. I don't remember the last time I bought a big AAA game.
I bought Far Cry Prime a little while ago, and I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I didn't like the ending. Ending was kind of shitty, but
at least with Far Cry, you get access to that 80s DLC, the Blood Dragon, right?
Oh, that was Far Cry 3. And yes, I have Blood Dragon. It's fucking hilarious. when you fire the minigun, you start screaming after a while. Like, it is an action movie.
That's what it means to make a game fun.
That was the best part about
Yeah.
Blood Dragon is it dumps you in this stupid 80s plot. Is there's a general and he betrays you and you turn into a super cyborg, and
Yeah.
then you get dumped in this typical Far Cry map, and you go, oh well, I've seen this before, and then you start exploring and doing things, and you go, wow, this is kind of its own thing, and I like it.
The same happened with Doom, because it's basically a video game in which the protagonist of the video game just shoves the entire exposition out of the way so that he can kill more demons. The newest Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
That's amazing. That's fun. Why people do not understand fun anymore? I just cannot get it through my head.
Yeah, people focus so much on features when it's really about entertainment. Like
I blame Halo.
I've been playing a lot of Subnautica. Hold on, I'm gonna cue shit up. You didn't see that. That's our secret. I've been playing a lot of Subnautica, and it's a very fun game because it dumps you in what's otherwise a very textbook survival game scenario, which is you start with basic facilities and you need to expand the amount of resources that you have access to, and in a way Subnautica is rather linear. It ushers you towards an end goal. But it
doesn't forces you.
It's just such a broad path that you don't care.
Yeah, it's just in Subnautica. It's for one thing, it's so damn pretty to look at.
Absolutely,
it's pure joy to actually play it, and it's an indie game. It wasn't made by like multi-million-dollar company. It didn't need to be. It's just a small. The map is actually quite small. It's not very big.
Yeah, it's only 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers.
It doesn't need to be bigger. Why? Because you have 3 dimensions.
Yeah, because there's by 2 kilometers. You can you have a very. You don't have a plane. You have a disc that you can explore, and so
not only that, you move left to right, forward and backwards, and up and down. There's so much shit, deeper and deeper and deeper in caves and caverns and lava layers, and there's so much to explore in those 2 by 2 kilometers.
Yeah. And it gives you so many mechanics to play with, so many tools, and it makes you
no weapons,
and no real weapons. You have no legitimate way of defending yourself until you get to the point where it's easy to find lithium, and even then, that's the sea moth. You only get so many torpedoes, and they don't kill, they just stun.
Yeah. Don't they have like a rifle that shoots the...
There's a stasis rifle, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that won't really protect you for long because it's battery powered.
Yeah. But I think there are people who killed like some of the Leviathans by shooting stasis rifle at them and then killing them with a knife. Literally death by 1,000 cuts.
It takes like a lot of hits or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you can, but even then, that's a lot of gameplay because this linear path. I call it a linear path, but it's really just go deeper and you find more.
Mm-hmm.
You just look for the biomes that go the deepest, and you will usually find something that goes deeper.
Yeah, but basically it's they give you things to do, like things to build, and if you want to build them, you require certain materials, and they don't give you all of the materials. If you want to build the thing that you want, you have to go explore, basically.
Yeah.
And as you explore, lo and behold, you find more of the plot, you find more of the resources, you find more of the creatures that are trying to kill you,
Yeah.
and it all makes the entire and the entire game is actually scary. It's a horror game.
Well, it's terrifying because there are several different species of leviathan that inhabit the waters in this ecosystem, and leviathan is the name of a carnivorous whale.
Yep.
So leviathans are these giant fucking whale-sized creatures that chill around, and almost all of them want to eat you.
Yeah, there's like one that shoots electricity, there's one poisonous one that lives in mushrooms, there's one that lives around Aurora, and that's the Reaper Leviathan that can destroy your Seamoth. I believe there's the reefer-bugs are also technically leviathans.
Yeah, reefbacks and sea treaders are leviathans.
Mm-hmm. And there's of course a sea emperor.
Yeah, well, there's a sea dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, down in Mordor, there are sea dragons.
At the end of the game.
Yeah, at the end of the game when you have a giant submarine for it to chase.
Mm-hmm.
That fucker moves quick too, and it spews fire at you.
Yeah. Well, the one that is wild and free. The other one is like hidden in the lab, right?
Well, that's a different creature.
Yeah. That's the mummy.
No, actually, it's a different species.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a different species than the sea dragon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Anyways, those people that made the ship are doing it again.
Oh no! Is it? Did they move to a different style of game, or do you still are pretending to be an NPC?
Different style of game. Now, what I love about this is these people have been doing it so long, yet have received almost no recognition for it because I'm almost entirely sure that the ship came out before the Assassin's Creed thing. Because there was the ship, and then there was which
Assassin's Creed was way older.
Because Assassin's Creed Brotherhood had the original multiplayer, and
the multiplayer, yeah.
So that was 2010, and the ship was 2006.
Then yes, then you are correct.
So anyone that in their head, just know that anyone that is comparing the ship to Assassin's Creed and using Assassin's Creed as if it was the first pretend to be an NPC game, they are wrong.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Assassin's Creed, the original, is from 2007.
Yeah. Yeah, the ship is that's a fucking old game.
Yeah, that's still a year after the ship. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like that game. And so the thing about Outer Light, as I've just learned, Outer Light is they've been making the same game forever. They just keep making the same game, and in this game, you are a character. You are given a target, and someone is given you as a target. So you are trying to walk around and schmooze and pretend to be an NPC while getting closer to your prey and finding a weapon to get rid of them.
Interesting.
But you have to be careful because there are usually security mechanisms littered around the game world.
So you cannot just go on a rampage.
No. In this version there are bobbies that walk around and they're twirling these gnarly ass clubs. Now, I'm curious how they're going to handle it because previous versions of this game have introduced survival game mechanics like hunger and going to the bathroom, and it kind of stops the game dead.
I see.
Because you're focusing on whacking those meters and not running around. Where the ship, I'm almost entirely sure focused entirely on just entirely walking entirely around. Entirely.
So,
in this one, you are in Victorian England, where Mr. X has used time travel to fill the airship you're on with a bunch of people. And there are like counters and abilities in this game. And I hope they aren't fucking stupid. Because there was at the end of the trailer, the player gets close to someone they're trying to kill, and then another person whips out a shotgun and blows them away.
That's dickish, but I guess it's par for course.
And I'm not sure how that works because there has always been a counter mechanism in these games.
Yep.
As far as I can remember, because you are
that's how they make it interesting, right?
Yeah. So I'm very interested in Murderous Pursuit. I'll probably get it.
Oh, I'm sure you will. But you need friends to play it with.
What are those?
Yeah, I don't have them either.
So, on to answers that nobody wanted. How not to metagame when you're a DM/player. Question. Does anyone else have an issue with metagaming when they're both a DM and a player in different campaigns? Same adventure. It's really hard to let another NPC make a terrible mistake when I know it's a terrible mistake. But I also can't justify my character knowing it would be a terrible mistake.
Yeah, basically it's incredibly difficult to not metagame. If you are a player and you have a player party and you are trying to make a plan, never tell the plan to the GM. Never. Because as soon as you start it, the GM will fuck it up.
Yes, he will.
Never tell your plans to GM.
Because the best example I can give is, for instance, Out of the Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
If you've played through Out of the Abyss or have GM'd Out of the Abyss, you know quite a lot of ways to get past a lot of otherwise annoying things. You also probably know the proper order of events. So how the issue is, yeah, it's very tempting to use your knowledge of the scenario and using it to your advantage, because typically that's what you would do in a game, is you would play through it a few times, and on that fourth time you know how to do everything exactly the right way as to be most efficient. But unfortunately it's not that kind of game.
Yeah, I believe that Out of the Abyss randomizes the order of the events and the placement of the artifacts that you need to get.
Well, yes and no. You go to specific story locations, and
Hmm.
you're supposed to go to them in a specific order if you want to do it in the least amount of trips.
I believe that it's pre-generated, but with the woman that basically foretells the future, right?
You are thinking of the original Strad von Zerafik. Uh,
Ah, god damn it!
wow, you just went to second edition, Muddy. Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, in in that original adventure, you go to a fortune teller lady and she tells you where the MacGuffins in the adventure are.
Well, she gives you cryptic clues.
Yeah, she doesn't literally tell you, but she gives you clues as to what objects in the castle you're looking for.
Hmm.
And again, if you've played that a few times, you'll know what the clues mean, and if you've DM'd it, well, you've looked at the chart and you know exactly what the
Yep.
clues mean.
Yep.
So you have to kind of be a champion about it and not tell anyone.
Hmm.
Um, if the party is stuck, then you might want to bring it up. But if
Yep.
you're trying to prevent a event that you can otherwise prevent by doing something specific, shut up.
Yep.
For instance, in Out of the Abyss, there are several NPCs where if you say specific things, you will drive them crazy.
I see.
And you can abuse this. But you kind of don't and shouldn't or might. It's weird
I see.
because it's kind of a gentlemanly code. And you have to kind of let it happen
I see. That's
because
very
it's all
interesting.
about having fun, and it's not really fun if nothing ever happens to you. At least that's my opinion on it. And that's our show.
Yay!